Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. Have you ever looked around and seen all of the people that get up early, those early morning people, and they seem like they like it? Or have you seen those people who work a lot, like a lot of overtime, a lot of side hustles, and they seem like they like it? Or those people that are always doing work around their house or washing their car, and they seem like they like it? You know, crazy people. You ever see those people and think, maybe I should be like that? Maybe I should be doing those things. But not today. When I see those types of people, I'm reminded of how lazy I am. And that's okay. Can a lazy person invest? Can you reach financial freedom if you don't have that drive, that hustle culture need to be doing something productive? This video isn't really going to be hustle culture friendly. This is going to be a short live stream. And if you want to come to one of my live streams and get all of your questions answered during the live stream, I do those Tuesday afternoons, 4 p.m. Pacific, for over a year now. This video is actually not going to be family friendly either. Well, not for my family. The goal of my content is to teach you that the average individual can reach financial freedom in 10 years or less and make work completely optional, even if you're not starting from the best position. In my opinion, most people, most of the average people, are at least as lazy as I am. The reason I say this isn't going to be family friendly to my family is I'm the laziest person in my family. My brothers owned tree services. One of them still owns a tree service. If you ever worked in trees, I think it's one of the hardest jobs I can imagine. I actually joined the Marine Corps because it was so much easier. And my dad owned a tree service. He worked on tree service until in his 70s, he died on a job site. And most of my family is super happy for him. He died doing what he loved, working. You know, crazy people. Still miss you, Dad. When I talk about being lazy, it irritates most of my family because they think that hard work is rewarded. Like even my brother who retired with 10 paid off rentals while running his tree service. Yes, he retired at 50, and now since 50, he's had a really cool retired life doing all the fun things, but always doing something. He worked 10 to 15 hours a day on trees and then somewhere around 5 hours a day on his rentals until he reached that tipping point of financial freedom and closed down his business, and now his rentals are in place. But he thinks the way that I invest is crazy because it's the lazy way. Two examples of why I think it's okay to be lazy. Recently, Business Insider came out with an article. Now, they've done several articles on myself and some of my friends. Matt the Lumberjack Landlord, Michael Zuber from One Rental at a Time, Millennial Mike. They've done articles on people who have reached financial freedom. Mine was covering the binder strategy, how I get my tenants to ask me to raise the rent, and how I invested while working full-time and raising 3 kids. But this article said, if you get up early, if you are an early riser, it's likely that you have a lot of Neanderthal DNA in your genes that are making you an early riser. So if somebody says, you seem really lazy because you don't get up early, say, no, I'm not lazy. I'm evolved. And then the second one is recently Gary Vee did an interview, or recently I saw an interview that Gary Vee did, not sure when it was done, where he talked about the power of lazy, how you can utilize your laziness to understand yourself better. He said, maybe being lazy tells you the things you like versus the things you don't like. Here's an example. I used early riser as an example. I'm not an early riser. When I went to the one rental at a time in-person live event last year in California, there was a speaker who spoke right after lunch. And Michael Zuber was smart. He brought in a high energy, motivating speaker after lunch to kind of wake people up so we didn't get into that afternoon lethargic state. But this guy was pumped, and he was talking about your morning routine and how important it is, and those things that you say to yourself to motivate yourself, not your mantra, but something else like that. Have I ever told you about my memory problems? But he spent a good few minutes talking about those first 30 minutes and how you can motivate yourself and plan your day and just take charge. And I was sitting there thinking, I actually texted Millennial Mike during that, and I was like, dude, I take 30 minutes in the morning to wake up. But here's the example of how Gary Vee was saying how you can understand that you're lazy can tell you what you like and what you don't like, and how you might want to outsource the things you don't like so that they're actually done. I'm not a morning person. Maybe you're not either. You have a job. I had most of my jobs as a truck driver and working in law enforcement, or as a CDL instructor, where we had to get up early. Like that, you wanted to start your job before rush hour if you're going to be in a truck or in a patrol car. So that means generally you're up at 4 or 5 in the morning. So I'll say 5 o'clock in the morning, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be in the vehicle by 6, like the work vehicle by 6. Eyes sore because you don't feel like you got enough sleep. Eyes hurt because of the bright light, because you don't want to wake up early. You don't want to lose the precious sleep that you're getting by waking up early enough to eat a healthy breakfast. You don't want to wake up early enough to do any work that you're going to put off till the end of the day when you're probably too exhausted to actually get it done right anyway. So that's what a morning looks like to a non-morning person if you're getting ready for work, versus the day you're going to go on a vacation trip. 4 o'clock in the morning, second cup of coffee, vibrating with excitement, sitting on the edge of the bed, already packed, ready to go. No tired, no eyes hurting. Maybe you enjoy vacations more than you like work, and that's why going to work makes you feel lazy, because you don't have the energy to go do something you don't like. So I mentioned my family doing tree work, and I joined the Marine Corps because it was easier than that. And I am the laziest of all of the siblings. 13 of us looked down on me because I was so lazy I joined the military. The only one, not only of the siblings, but in my familial history that I know of that joined the military. Because I'm lazy. Because I wanted to maybe only work 40 to 60 hours a week instead of the 80 that an entrepreneur does. Because I wanted my body to last long, that it doesn't in tree work. And every now and then I will say quotes from my dad. And this is one I know I've heard from other sources, but I heard it from my dad often when I was a kid. He might have been saying this to defend me, because it's actually one of the reasons why he put me in martial arts at such a young age. I had fairly aggressive brothers. But he used to say, if you want to find the easiest way to do something, ask a lazy person. And then he would look at me, because everybody knew I'd find the easiest way to do it, because I'm the laziest person in the room, in the family tree. He never said, ask the smartest person, the most organized person. The smartest, most organized person is most likely to get stuck in analysis paralysis and have spreadsheets before actually taking action. That's too much work. I'd rather just do the thing in the simplest way that I can think of. He never said, ask the strongest, hardest working person how to do it. While he and most of my family believes that hard work is rewarded, they at least were not Neanderthal enough to understand that if hard work paid the most, coal miners would be the billionaires of the world. Most of them aren't. He would say, don't ask the most talented person how to do something, because it's really hard to duplicate talent. So if you see somebody doing something you want to do, you want to be a gymnast, I wouldn't go to Mary Lou Retton, for the dinosaurs in the room, and say, how do you do this? Right? I would go and take a child's gymnast course to find the easiest way to get people into gymnastics. What is the easiest way to do something? You find the lazy person way to do that. Not the most talented, not the strongest, not the smartest and most organized, but the lazy person will have the system for doing something that takes the least amount of effort. When things take the least amount of effort, they are most likely to be done. How's that not in a Tarantino movie? So here's how I want you to use your lazy. I want you to put your lazy to work. I was working full time. My strongest motivation for reaching financial freedom was that I didn't want to work. Working full time, raising 3 kids, I didn't have the bandwidth or the skill set to do what my brother did, where he worked as an entrepreneur, 50 plus, 60 plus hours a week on his business, and then 10 to 20 hours a week on his rentals. I didn't have the skill set, didn't have the time, and I'm lazy. So I primarily focused on buying rentals from the MLS, not even the creative strategies. No driving for dollars, no mailers, no off-market wholesale deals. Every deal is from the MLS with traditional lending, conventional loans, or the last one I purchased cash because of that problem I'm trying to get all of you to have, where the money piles up and you have to do something with it. But my goal wasn't a huge portfolio, a massive wealth generating, generational wealth building machine. I wanted financial freedom so that work was optional. That came from the right amount of cash flow from the least amount of units. I bought properties that didn't need a rehab. I wanted tenants in place. One of the reasons I came up with the binder strategy that gets my tenants to ask me to raise the rent is because I bought properties when I could with tenants in place. This did a few things. Generally, it meant plumbing, heating, electricity. All of those things probably worked. I didn't have to do a bunch of work because I wasn't looking to create a job, because here's a phrase I want you to understand. I am not an entrepreneur. I am an investor. There's a big difference. I wanted to put money to work. I didn't want to take my money, buy a job so that I was continuing to work. I developed strategies to take it to where I can self-manage my rental properties, even though I'm a lazy person. These systems allow me to, when I retired at the age of 52, after 12 years of investing, I retired where it takes me on average 2 hours a month to self-manage my properties. I buy properties that have aspects that help limit tenant turnover, because that would be more work, even though tenant turnover can sometimes turn into a bigger rent increase. It's cabinets, countertops, painting, flooring, replacing electric, any repairs that need done. All of that work doesn't have to happen if your tenant stays in place. So keeping tenants in place through the binder strategy keeps them happy, gets the rents where you need them to be. I will fix small things. I'll put in coated locks. I'll put in motion sensor lights, LED exterior lights. I will ask the tenant if there's something they want repaired. And I say I, and I've used the word I 6 times in the last minute. But what I mean is I hire a handyman or a contractor to go do these simple things for a little amount of money so that I don't have to work harder to get more money to do the rehabs. To put my rentals in place that have these aspects, side-by-side units, because over-under has noise complaints and a plumbing issue can impact more than one tenant. But side-by-side units with fenced yards that are pet-friendly, because people don't like to move their pets. Even if the human moves with it, that's a relocation for that animal, and people don't like to do that. And you have less options for places that allow pets. So since I do, I have more demand for my units and can charge a higher rent and a pet fee. Even though pets don't work, they pay fees. I look for washer-dryer hookups inside each unit, because people using a laundromat or shared laundry are just waiting for a place to open. I want at least 2 bedrooms and, whenever possible, a garage, because more space equals more stuff. More stuff equals less likely to move. So I've invested with strategies that work for being lazy. Because if I was adding rental units to my portfolio to reach financial freedom, to make work optional, and every unit I added increased my workload, I probably wouldn't have added those units. But since adding them and developing the systems uses a limited amount of my time, I continue to add units. I have purchased a duplex since I retired, not because I need the cash flow, but because I wanted to put the money somewhere more productive and beneficial to me than in the bank. Here's where the last thing I'll wrap up with, and I will go through the comments after the video is over for any of the questions there, and possibly make videos on those topics in the future, or answer those questions on Tuesday. When I talk about reaching financial freedom. And I do things like I go and I speak at the Northwest Action Summit in Portland, Oregon, which you should check out. Or I go to the Cody and Christian Multifamily Strategies meetup in January on the 20th that me and Millennial Mike and Lumberjack Landlord and Cody and Christian are going to speak at. Or the One Rental at a Time event in Vegas in February on the 17th and 18th. To share financial freedom, I get this question. It's in the top 3. It's not the top one, but it's in the top 3 questions that I get often. The first 5 years are difficult. They're not easy. How did you stay motivated? I have the same challenges that you guys do, the same issues, right? My kids had sporting events, sick times. They went to the school, which is that petri dish that brings home things for me to be sick. I was running the company. I was slowly demoted down to president of the company, and I had more responsibilities. And buying a rental, hunting for deals is not passive. Buying rentals is not passive. Stabilizing my tenants is not passive. Once the rental is in place and the systems are there, it's about as passive as you can get. The light at the end of the tunnel when you're lazy shines brighter than the sun. The knowledge that I could either continue to do my work at my job and work until I'm in my 70s and probably die on a job site like my dad did. Love you, Dad. Versus a dedicated decade of fighting my lazy, but focusing my lazy, buying the assets that don't take time, that don't create more work, that generate cash flow, to have that financial freedom come in so that I can do things like who's got an event I can go to, because that gives me an excuse to travel and meet really cool new people. That motivation is what I hope you turn your lazy into. Yeah, first 5 years are going to suck. And yeah, when you're lazy, I think they suck more. But you have more motivation than the person who enjoys their job, sees it as their passion project. And remember, if you have to be paid or compensated for your passion project, it's not your purpose. It's your job. I hope this video at least made you think. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.